Welcome, everyone. Come on in, introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. Welcome to Quirk It Up with Meg and Danielle. And Megan is the owner and founder of Gem Learning Consultants. Megan uses her 10 years of L&D experience to help her clients realize their skills development dreams. That was a tricky little statement. With a career journey that spans a variety of industries, going from tech to restaurants was especially invigorating. Meetings about French fries? Yes, please. Megan channels her creativity, humor, and a little bit of bossiness to ensure her strategies are anything but boring. So now let's hear from Megan. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I see folks from all over the place, Maryland, Santa Clarita, goodness, Canada, Egypt. That's incredible. So thanks for coming, guys. I really appreciate everyone being here. Let's get started. So we hear that learners need games, stories, and badges to get their learn on, but sometimes it's a lot simpler than that. An intended slip up in your voiceover, a photo that moves a little bit, some quirky, weird graphics. There's all kinds of ways to make your learning quirky, fun, and a little bit weird. So in this session, we're going to discuss how we can disrupt your learners' boring learning and take it to a new kind of level. But first, let's start out with a couple stats. So did you know that 2/3 of employees say that training influences their engagement? We all knew that, right? Duh. But only 33% of employees say they're actively engaged in their daily work. That's a big old yikes from us. So what makes your teams disengaged? Well, we know these already. This isn't groundbreaking knowledge here, but a lot of times your teams will get disengaged if the content doesn't apply to them, if they're forced to take the training, or if they have a lack of recognition. As learning and development professionals, we use all kinds of methodologies and methods to get our training developed. We're all the experts here. So whatever kind of platform you use, be it Addy or the hierarchy of needs, however you create your training, using a little bit of quirkiness just adds that extra little bit of sparkle in there to get your learning to that next level. So what does quirky actually mean? Well, quirky is defined as anything that is characterized by peculiar or unexpected traits. So where can you use that quirkiness and that weirdness to make your learning pop? So this is what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be discussing 3 different areas that you can make your learning quirky. You can do it in your content, you can do it in your delivery, and you can do it in your campaign. So I'm going to run through my slides, and then I'm going to open it up at the end for all of us to share examples of quirkiness with each other. So as I take you through some of the ways that I've used quirkiness and some of my professional mentors have used quirkiness, I want you to take down some notes, because at the end, I'm going to open it up for all of us to kind of share together. Because that's where the real magic happens. I can be talking to you about how we can be quirky, but the best way is to share across each other and kind of share together. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so the first place you want to try to be quirky is in your content, in the stuff that you're deploying to your learners. A great way to do that is through stunning imagery. These are not just the ones that your creative team creates. Those are great, those are beautiful, but a lot of times they can be a little corporate-y, right? We've all dealt with that. But you want imagery that aligns with your brand. For example, say you work for a restaurant and you're creating an alcohol compliance course. The ladies in this photo here, they might not be drinking the drinks that your restaurant sells, but that's okay. The image is going to convey the message that you want to send about alcohol consumption rates. The photo's composition is on trend. It's the styles they're wearing, the nail polish she's got on, they're all modern pieces of an imagery that all together make the message whole. Great places to get photos like this, Unsplash and Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. And I'll share some references here at the end. But Unsplash and Pexels have some great, really stunning, really on-trend photos. Another great place to get some quirky content are some videos. Your videos don't have to be the main focus of your content. Plop it in, set it to back, and now you've got a great moving texture as your background, like you see here on the screen. Those are just cars driving up and down the interstate. But it's moving. So instead of using just a solid color background or a texture, you've now got a video that acts as your background, which is kind of cool. But let's take it to the next level. Cinemagraphs. These are kind of a hot on-trend item right now, and a lot of us may have heard of these already, but just in case you haven't, I wanted to walk you through. So look at this image. It's pretty, kind of making me hungry. It's lunchtime, right? But look, if I actually click the video to play, that honey starts to drizzle down the slide. A cinemagraph is a photo where one portion of the photo is moving. And what it does is it kind of tricks your learner's eye to go, hey, is that actually moving? So you don't have to bring their attention to it necessarily, but it's a really great way to kind of trick the eye into looking a little closer at your slide. A great place to get these, Pexel's video. Just type in Cinemagraph and all these pop up, which is really cool. They're actually not even that hard to make yourself, which is fun. Another place in your content that you can get a little quirky is with graphics. So this, I am not an animator. I don't pretend to be. I don't want to be. That sounds like a lot of extra work. If you have ever sent a text message with a video in it, say a meme from The Office, some of my favorites, those are GIFs, right? GIFs, GIFs, however you want to pronounce them. GIFs also make what are called stickers. So if you use, there's a website called Giphy, Giphy. They've got some great GIFs, but they also have great GIF stickers. That's what this image here is. I just typed in diversity and that popped up. You'll see a lot of these GIF stickers throughout my presentation. Anything that squiggles, anything that moves, anything that kind of jiggles around is actually a GIF sticker. And what's really hot about those is you grab them from the website, you save them as a picture, and you just insert them as a picture into your presentation, and they move automatically. You don't have to touch a thing. You don't have to do any video playback or anything. It's just working perfectly, which is really cool. Giphy.com, Giphy.com. There's another GIF sticker there for you. But another great place to get quirky is with your language. So stick with me here, because this is a little outside of the box. So imagine you're at a conference and your CEO gets up in his suit and is presenting, and he accidentally drops a cuss word into his presentation. You know that every single person in the audience is going to sit up straighter and go, did he just say shit in the presentation? See, I said it, and now you're probably perked up a little bit too. Your brand may not allow that. I get that. I've worked for some clients that brands are very casual. I've worked for clients whose brands are very formal. And a lot of times they don't allow for that kind of language. But sometimes, used very, very sparingly, a cuss word or two can really cause that message to kind of hone in. I've even done in e-learnings where you do sh*t. So you're not actually saying the word, but it shows up kind of cool. Again, it all aligns with your brand. Use the language that your brand dictates, right? The client's brand that you're working for, the brand that you're working for. But there are some really cool ways to make language quirky and pop. So let's look at some examples of how quirky content gets through to learners. A great example of this is the Super Bowl commercials. If you think about it, a Super Bowl commercial's prime objective is to educate you on their product, to train you on their product, but they do it in ways that are so funny that everybody at your Super Bowl party stops what they're doing to watch the freaking commercials. Talk about quirky. Another great quirky example are true crime podcasts. I'm a sucker for those, but you're actually listening to a history lesson. If you think about it, a true crime podcast is just talking about what happened in the past, but they do it in a quirky, entertaining way. Another example is Schoolhouse Rock. The 70s and 80s kids in the audience, me, myself included, can probably still tell you how a bill becomes a law thanks to Schoolhouse Rock. So quirky, weird, but still really educational. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to talk about how to be quirky in your delivery. So this is how you actually disseminate that information down to your learner. A great place to do that is with an engaging facilitator. Not all of us have the personality to entertain or entertain our audience, right? And that's okay. We've all got quirkiness in our personalities. You just got to find out what that is and how to bring it out, right? A great mentor once told me years ago, and it has stuck with me ever since, that you got to make them laugh or chuckle in the first 30 seconds. This is for instructor-led training, right? Make them laugh or chuckle in the first 30 seconds, and then you got them hooked. They're going to be paying a little bit more attention than they would if they just came in and you just started word vomiting all over them, right? So being an engaging facilitator really helps. Another way to make that delivery quirky is through anecdotes, right? You have a facilitator guide that you're performing from. Add some anecdotes, exaggerate those stories, and get that learning into a quirky, weird way that they can digest. Storytelling has been around for centuries, millennia, right? So don't reinvent the wheel. Just tell an entertaining story that pertains to the content that you're delivering. Another great way is through a relevant activity. This is going to sound a little harsh, and it's okay, but if you need to put a wake-up activity in your in-person training, then you're probably doing it wrong. It's okay. We've all done those, right? Our facilitator guide says to do a wake-up activity. What I mean by that is a wake-up activity means that you already know your audience is going to be bored, so you got to jolt them awake. Sometimes you need those, but skip it and go for an activity that reinforces their actual learning. Do a weird activity. Do something fun and weird, but something that is relevant to the content that you're teaching. And then humanizing moments. This is a big one. We're all really human, but so why pretend that we're better than everybody else? In instructor-led training or in e-learning, a truly quirky training has humanizing moments. Maybe you giggle a little bit in your voiceover for an online training, or maybe you need help with an example for an in-person facilitation. Regardless of how you do it, humanizing yourself is really going to bring your learners closer to you as not only the facilitator, but also the expert on the content. And that's a win-win for sure. And then lastly, let's look at how we can make quirkiness in the campaign. When I say campaign, I mean, you've got your content, you've got your plan for delivery. Now you need to deliver and communicate that that training is coming to your learner. So a lot of times we do the campaign by the LMS sending an automatic email saying, hey, Joe, you've got a required training coming up and it's due August 1st. That's a lot of times how we deliver our training to tell our learners that they've got a training coming up. And that's fine, but we can get a little weird. So a great way to do this is to theme your campaign. So can you create a theme out of your content? Say you're delivering a diversity and inclusion course that you're trying to get out to your folks. Package it up in a fabulous rainbow theme and deploy it during Pride Month. What a perfect time to deploy a course like that, right? Have an event, get some swag, other fun to-dos. Go weird. I think it's a lot of fun to do that. Take your theme to the next level by running a contest with it. We do this all the time with several of my clients. It's quirky, it's weird, and it's super fun. So a really great example, say you're deploying a customer service online course in the fall. Theme it out with Halloween, hence the Michael Jackson sticker here, right? Theme it out with Halloween, give it a weird name, then run with a contest and drive it home even further. Your learners can send in pictures of their Halloween costume, their pet's costume, whatever works for your brand. But the quirkiness level this is not going to work for every brand, right? This is really weird. Quirkiness level is high here, but that can be a good thing. Embrace it, have those frontline leaders run that contest for you, and then bam, you've got instant accountability and it's off of your plate, which is a win. And then lastly, with your campaign, how to make your communication about your training weird and quirky is through a launch plan. You've got your theme, you've got your contest decided on, then you can launch it out to your teams. A typical launch email, like we said before, typically comes from the LMS, which is kind of lame, whatever, we can do that. But try getting an especially involved leader to make a video on why they're excited about this training, whatever training you're trying to deploy. Get your CEO to do a selfie video and talk about, hey, this training is coming up. It's so exciting. Hope you guys are sending in your Halloween contest, whatever entries. If you can get your CEO to do a cell phone selfie video by way of like TikTok looking style, that's huge. And it's instant moment for your learner of, oh man, I better get this thing done. Like it's instant accountability and it's instant recognition, which is always huge. Quirky campaigns are the best. Okay, so I just ran through all those examples super duper fast because I wanted to give us some time where we could be sharing back and forth kind of ways that we can get a little weird with our training in the content, in the delivery, in the campaign. If you have examples of things you've done in the past or things that you've seen done before, let's share those together. If you have an example, go ahead and raise your hand and Laura can bring you up to the stage and we can all kind of chat through it together. I think that'd be really cool.
Don't have any hands raised quite yet.
Nobody yet.
I will tell you one of mine, though, that I've done.
Okay.
I was trying to get a training on getting teachers to learn from each other. So we had the pineapple room, or we had the pineapple project. I can't remember the name, where if you hung a pineapple outside your door, that meant welcome, come in, see my classroom. And I held a pineapple palooza for like 2 weeks with prizes. And there was pineapple sunglasses, and it was just lots of fun trying to get as many people involved as possible.
I love it.
And we enjoyed that. So let's bring on our first hand raise. Here we come.
Yay.
Come on up.
No.
Hi.
Here.
Hi, Megan. Oh, I'm loving your topic because I've always been told I'm quirky.
Good.
And and in the professional space, you know, when you're presenting and you're facilitating to senior people, people tend to judge you by your quirkiness. And I always thought in the beginning of my career that was negative, but I've realized that this is me, this is who I am, and everything you've said resonated with me so
Good.
well.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I love it. I've had a very similar.
I think. Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't hear that.
Sorry, I said what I think really helped me here is the delivery of your quirkiness and how to draw that line between being you as well as speaking to your audience.
We're having a little bit of internet connection, so you're cutting out.
Darn it. Oh, she sounded like she had some good insight too.
Maybe we can put the rest of that in the chat.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to hear it. And we do have another speaker coming up in just a moment.
Okay.
So Irini, I'm going to remove you from the stage for now.
Bye, Irini. Thank you.
Come on in. Oops, I'm trying to hand Brenda the mic. There you go. Now I've handed her the mic. Here comes Brenda. Hello?
I've lost audio.
Oh, I hear you now.
Or you guys all now. I don't know why. So I'll just sort of say my piece and then you can let me go and whatever. You can hear me, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Have the same problem in the lounge. I couldn't get that to work at all either. Same problem. Anyway, what I do at every training I do or webinar I do is end with a Kahoot game. Kahoot.com, Kahoot.it is how you play. Kahoot.com is how you create it.
Yes.
And they are so much fun. And you can watch as people get, sort of get ahead and then get behind and then someone else gets ahead and you have a lovely podium at the end. It's a lot of fun. It's rather quirky, but people really get into it. And all my questions relate to the content of what I've just delivered. So,
yeah.
And usually I put in sort of at least one of the 4 options in the multiple choice. At least one of them will be sort of something weird or goofy. And then the other 2 will be, there'll be a right answer and then 2 that are sort of plausible answers. So that's what I do to bring in quirkiness, and it really does seem to help. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Brenda. I've also seen, and the name is escaping me, but there's an app you can have your learners download, and you could assign them scavenger hunt things to go find. And that's great for onboarding because it's like, go find the bathrooms, go find the emergency exit, go find your manager's desk for an in-person kind of situation. But that's a really fun thing. I love the Kahoot games. Those are great.
So we have someone else in line, but I also want to point out the chat has some things coming through.
Yeah, I'm reading.
While we're letting the next person come up, tell us about your earrings. There's a question for that.
I saw that. Tracy said that. Embarrassed because these are like little cheapy earrings from just a website that I found on, a Facebook influenced me, whatever. One of those little websites you can order cheap earrings. So I'm glad they're a hit though, because I definitely have sweatpants on the bottom. So I'm glad that the shirt and earrings look great. So thank you.
All right. Linnea coming in. Here she is.
Let me just turn my camera on. Hi. Yeah, well, so I do lots of quirks because I'm, automatically quirky. But one of the things I started doing a couple of years ago is actually illustrating my own presentations. But I can't actually draw, so I just do stick figures. And they kind of, because people are so used to the curated images, right, and the icons, and so when they see the presentation with the like hand-drawn stick figure feel, it actually kind of helps. And also because I don't know about you, but I find it really hard to find images that actually like speak to what I'm talking about. It's really hard. But so then I can just draw something that actually relates.
What
really
tool are you using to do that? Because I've always wanted to look at that, doesn't know what to use.
I mean, I've used so many different. I mean, I used mobile apps initially, and now I use an iPad and just some programs. But you can, and I have a drawing tablet now. But I started out doing it with my phone and my finger.
I think that's brilliant.
So yeah, and then when I found that I liked it and that I had a good use for it, I invested in some tools. But
in some nice stuff. That's great. I love that. I think that's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. I love that.
So turning back over to the chat, do you want me to read them, or would you like to read them out loud? I was looking back at Reba where she started.
I know, there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
Let me go up. Okay, there's everyone's greetings. So yeah, if you can pop up one that you found, Laura.
Okay, so Reba says, I used my youngest son's trials, funny moments, wins, and tribulations in educational webinars and presentations, and it really kept the audience engaged.
Yeah.
Definitely, I've done the same. And it brought realism to the stories, how teachers can manage and handle classroom management.
Yes, it really does. And I have found too that asking people for examples, as trite as that sounds, a lot of times, especially after you've won them over, they'll start sharing stuff back with you in an instructor-led course. So that's great. Anecdotes are great.
Linnea said another great thing you can do in Kahoot is to mix the questions with your slides to keep them on their toes.
I love it.
And Arini, I've learned that, here, she finished her thought.
Oh, good.
I've learned that my quirks make me unique. And while I thought it was negative when I first started facilitating, I've learned that people related to me and what I'm saying. That's why I've added hashtag always be you as my tag.
Oh,
Very nice.
I love that.
Cool.
That's so great. Full transparency, I started to really embrace that quirkiness. I worked for Dell Technologies, and I'm not super technical. As a learning and development person, you learn over the years and your experience that you don't need to be the content expert. You almost don't want to be the content expert on the stuff you're creating, because then you can take a real learner lens as you're looking through your stuff. But when I first started out in learning and development, there was no one to tell me that. So I was really nervous to present to these IT nerds being an affectionate term. They knew more about this stuff than I did. So I had to ramp up that quirkiness to make myself engaging to keep their attention, or else I was going to lose them completely. So I wish there had been someone there to tell me that quirky's okay. It makes you engaging. I just kind of had to do it on my own. So I'm glad to hear that Arini has a similar experience. I love that.
Okay, so Tamara, I incorporate games at the beginning of my sessions right after my introductions. For example, we played scavenger hunts before a virtual session, and the feedback was great because they were expecting the agenda after my intro.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Keep them on their toes.
Yes, and Linnea posted some examples of her illustrations, so we can look those up.
Yeah.
And Reba. Absolutely. You have to be you and quirky because learners are tired of online meetings and learning, etc.
They absolutely are.
Amen.
Mural painting, says Ingrid. That's fascinating.
Mural.
I'm picturing like a wedding reception artist that paints the reception.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It might be something totally different, but that's really, really cool. I think this is amazing. We've got some really good examples here, everybody. It all depends on what you're interested in and what you bring to the table. It's just recognizing your skills and talents and recognizing your own quirkiness and bringing it to life. I've recently found Beyond. If you guys have messed with that at all, animation really intimidates me. And this is it's fun to play with and it's really quirky and cool too.
Well, here comes Ingrid.
Hi, Ingrid.
Yeah, so not wedding mural painting, but actually getting a group of like C-suite or top team leaders to grab brushes and bottles of paint, and we spread a massive canvas out, and they paint whatever, the goal of the learning is, like, what's your vision for the future of the organization? They're not allowed to talk to each other. They can't collaborate. They just have to start and paint. And the results are amazing. And it's,
Wow.
you see people who look at you like, what are you? No, we're not doing that. And they paint their hair. And
I think that's great. That approachability piece is there too, because if you're C-suite doing it, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, and there's amazing learnings. We did it with our own team, and I remember at one point turning to my direct report and say, you're not painting. And she said, but our corporate color is orange and we don't have that. So if I don't mix red and yellow, no one else can paint. And it was like the whole room just stopped.
That's great. Oh my God, what an amazing. I mean, how they're going to remember that. That's going to be something that sticks with them, as opposed to a classroom training session or an online training session. That's incredible. I love it. Love it.
It is cool.
Thank you for sharing. It's been great. It's so great.
So let's see what's in the chat still. Okay, moving back up to the top. Okay, here we go. Here, I found it. You can have an artist drawing while you speak, and it's awesome. I used speed dating style partner talk so that the learners get a chance to talk to each other during face-to-face meetings. Then, of course, Ingrid just explained the C-suite leaders. And Jessica wants to see a finished piece of that, Ingrid. There we go. I'd like to see that too. And Amy, I love animations, fun embedded content that keeps the audience engaged and involved with the content. Quirkiness is awesome. My designs involve quirkiness, and sometimes I get judged by it too. Doesn't stop me though.
Yeah, good.
All right, so we have about 3 minutes until we close this session. Do we have anyone else who would like to come up? So Megan, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I've got my LinkedIn here. Go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn. That'd be great. My company has a LinkedIn page as well. It's LinkedIn on my LinkedIn profile. So I'd love for you guys to follow me there. I'll follow you back. I think that's great. I can't wait to kind of look through this chat afterwards and see some of these examples. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. But yeah, I'm constantly posting on my LinkedIn some samples of my work after I finish with a client. And so there's a lot of things to share. I'd love to see your stuff too. So please connect.
Excellent.
Oh, Tracy, good. I love it.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. This was wonderful, everybody. Thank you so much.